Broadway Thursday football preview. Today we have a special guest, Coach Steve Botkin, also the athletic director at Sahuaro. My brother Javier Morales, obviously, and I'm Andy Morales. And we're going to be talking about, the Rick Botkin 41st.
41st.
And that's your brother. And can you just give us a background on the game and what this means to your family and how it all started?
Certainly. So back in 1977, I was 8 years old, and he was killed on a Friday night after a football game in a car accident. He was starting quarterback in free safety for the football team, and he was a great player, but even more than that, was a great person, a great friend, and great brother, great son. So quite a loss. And the one thing that's real special about Sahuaro High School and all of its traditions and all of its great players that have come through there is they've held this memorial game since the year after he passed away. And it seems to get bigger and bigger every year. This is the 41st year. And it just seems like more and more folks attend. Last year we had a special one at 40, and a whole bunch of his classmates from the class of 1978 came from all over the United States and rented out a restaurant and had my family over for dinner at the restaurant. And then that was on a Thursday night, and then we played the game on a Friday night and had a get-together at my house following the game Friday night, and we all did something Saturday. So they kind of made it a big weekend. So like I say, it gets bigger and bigger every year. It means so much to our family that Sahuaro continues this tradition. Every new coach that we've had has taken it on, and like I said, Scott McKee, our football coaches, just seem to make it bigger and bigger every year.
This will be the first time I've been able to go to this game. I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it very much. So, Jay Dobbins, we ran into him last night. Of all times, we ran into him last night at another establishment, and we asked him about that night. He was a sophomore receiver, and something like that. We've lost family members too. I lost a nephew in an accident. It's tough, and you can tell even to this day it wears on Jay. And he wrote a great memorial last year. We published it last year, and we're going to publish it again for this game. He talked about just the emotions involved, and what stuck out to me was after the fact when the team met and the coaches and the players, they came together. They played that following day. Tucson High offered to forfeit the game, and Sahuaro ended up playing. And can you just remember talk about that game the next week when Tucson High played Sahuaro, what that was like?
Sure, I was really young, but I do have some memories of it. I do remember, talking to Jay and several of Rick's teammates, because they kind of took me under their wing when I was really young, and I was kind of like, their little buddy, their mascot, and I hung around with the football team quite a bit. And Barry and Brad Baker were also close friends of Rick's, and they've told me the story several times. So I do have a memory of what happened. And after that happened on a Friday night, Saturday they all gathered at the school, and they were in one of the classrooms. And Virgil Stan and Bob Viadent were two of the coaches. And he said everyone was in the room and crying and missing their teammate. And Virgil had gone to the team and said, what would you like to do? We can forfeit the game, we can play the game, and we can call Tucson High and see if we can reschedule the game. And they all got together, and within minutes they said, Rick would want us to play the game. And so they had already received a call from, like you said, Tucson High, and they said that they would forfeit the game and give Sahuaro the victory, which, that's pretty outstanding sportsmanship. But Sahuaro went ahead and suited up and played. I do believe they lost the game, but it was a real close game, and they said that they played with something extra special that night, because Rick played special teams. He was an offensive, the quarterback, and he was also the free safety. So he was out there all the time, and without him, they surely missed him. But they all, played together in his memory. So I thought that was pretty special.
Obviously, Javier's known you for a long time because you used to work at the Star back when you weren't 8 years old at the time.
Pretty close.
A couple years old later. And then I met you about 12 years ago, coaching at Sahuaro, and I had the honor of covering your kids, Rick, who I assume is named after Rick,
Correct.
and Alyssa, who I don't know who she's named after, but they're both now out of high school. And you want to introduce the rest of your family here? Your parents are here?
Yes.
So my oldest brother, Bud, is here in attendance, supporting us. And my dad, also Bud, he's here. And my mom, Clara. And my daughter, Alyssa, who just graduated from Sahuaro High School and is now a freshman at the University of Arizona. And my son, Rick, who is definitely named after my brother, Rick, and he's a senior at the University of Arizona. Both have graduated from Sahuaro. And I do want to say, I'm very proud alum of Sahuaro myself, but my mom worked there for over 20 years, and she's actually in the Cougar Hall of Fame. And someone has been at Sahuaro since my brother, Bud, was a freshman there back in 1972. So we've had a family member at Sahuaro High School since 1972 through 2019. So the school is really special to us. And like I said, the legacies and the traditions there are amazing. And I get to be a part of it, being the athletic director, a little bit bigger role than just a coach, but being a part of this game, which has always been special. But now I've got a little bit more to do with it, and it makes it even more special to me and my family.
Obviously a rivalry game beyond honoring your brother, Sabino Sahuaro, going back to, I guess, since Sabino opened up, because I think they opened up after you guys. And in the early days, it was back and forth, and then Sabino pretty much controlled it. Now you guys are back with Scott, with Key, and can you talk about this game and what this means? A lot of these kids, I guess, went to the same junior high together. What this means to the community, this game?
Sure, it's always been the East Side rivalry, and it's usually the week 0 game, and now we're playing it. For us, it's our third game. We played Vista Grande and Buena, and they played Casa Grande. So they're obviously a really good school, a good football team, and they've always been our rival. So when I grew up and my brothers were playing, and even when my two kids, Rick played football and Alyssa played basketball and softball at Sahuaro, we don't, this sounds bad, but we don't like Sabino. We like Sabino, but they're just our rivals. And we were always taught, as especially me, back growing up in the 70s and playing in the 80s, playing football for Howard Breining in the 80s, they're our rival. So if you won one game in the year, as long as it was Sabino, that was the game to win. But they're such a good football program, and I was reading some things about it today, and I know that they have the edge right now. I think in the 2000s, they beat us 2 years ago, and we beat them last year. So this year, I anticipate it'll be a really good game. I know they have a great quarterback, and they're really strong this year, and we're pretty quick. So I'm expecting a wonderful game, but they're always considered our number one rival. So having the Rick Botkin game with this game was extra special. And I remember telling Rick, what I think was the first person I told, and he got really excited because the last couple of years, we've played, and it's an honor to have this game, but we've kind of played, Phoenix School and other schools that this game maybe not mean as much, but having a Sabino game on top of the Rick Botkin football game, Memorial football game, is going to make it extra special.
Like Andy said, I've known you since we were just graduating from high school. We're starting out at the Star, covering high school football, and now you're a Sahuaro AD, head girls basketball coach. You've won over 500 games. But a testament to your family and to your parents is you're the same guy now as you were when you were a high school stringer. You have the same personality, the same mannerisms, except for the gray hair, yeah. But though we all have gray hair, but you have the same mannerisms. You're respectful. You do things the right way. So you haven't let success get to you, get to your head. How is your development, becoming a head basketball coach, athletic director? How much has that impacted your life, and how do you handle all those two roles without all you have to do?
Well, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I took my mom and dad to the Buena game last weekend, and they're troopers. They sat in the stands. The third quarter started at 10:45 p.m. because of lightning, and we got home about 2. And they had a great time. And on the way home, they were talking about how proud they were of me. And I said it all starts with them. And they've taught us morals, character. They've taught us how to be responsible, and so it really does start with them. And then along the lines, I've just had not only great parents and a great upbringing, but I've had some great coaches at Sahuaro that have taught me. Dick McConnell was one of my mentors who unfortunately just passed away. But he basically taught me a lot about just what kind of teacher to be, what kind of coach to be. I always question if I have to question something, I would always think, what would Coach McConnell do? And there was always a right answer there. And would Coach McConnell do this? And if it was yes, then I would do it. I had Sandy Novak as a mentor for the athletic director, who was at Sahuaro for over 20 years and is in the Cougar Hall of Fame and the Pima County Hall of Fame, and a great volleyball coach. I played for Howard Brining. Jim Scott was one of my former mentors for girls basketball. So I've been really blessed to have some great coaches, Billy Lopez, Lance Prickett. I mean, just Sahuaro, Tom Pearson. Sahuaro just has had so many phenomenal coaches that if you just follow some of those folks, you're going to learn to do things the right way. And if you don't do them the right way, you wouldn't play for them, frankly. And so they taught me a lot about how to be a teacher, how to be a role model, how to be a coach, and now how to be an AD. And fortunately, we have a bunch of wonderful coaches and a great administration at Sahuaro. So it's really, it's a stressful job, but it's a fun job because I'm working with great kids and I'm working with great coaches.
Really quickly, you mentioned you're the basketball coach. You had a great year last year. You've had some great ball players coming through your program, and now you have Alyssa Brown. I guess is probably one of the top players in the state. The state champ, she scored like 40 points in that game against the best team in the state, and pulled down like 14 rebounds. And I knew how good she was. Phoenix didn't really know, but after that game, all of a sudden she was all state. And her dad. You guys have a U of A legacy. Her grandfather played basketball for U of A. Scott played for U of A. Scott McKee, and his dad Larry McKee played for U of A. And it's just a great program you've been putting out there. 12 years, you've had several kids that have scored over 1,000 points, and it's just a great. And before I forget, Coach Bacon. Whenever I go on the Sahuaro campus and I see Coach Bacon out there, I'm like, oh well, what am I doing here? That's Coach Bacon. It's like a different level. So, can you just preview your basketball team? The excitement. We're not there yet, but I always look at teams like that. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to watch that team.
So first of all, I definitely have to give a shout out to allsportstucson.com, because without them, I don't know where we would be. Just getting our programs out there and recognition for all of our folks out there. So if you don't follow them, which I hope you do, but if you don't, please do. And Javier and Andy are just tireless workers. I don't know how they do it, but they do it, and they do it at all levels, starting with the young kids all the way up. So I really appreciate you two for all you do for our kids, because like I said, with budgets the way they are, and I know you guys have a tight budget, but you get out there and get it done, and there's just not a lot of recognition for our young athletes. So every time I turn around, they're at one of our games, and they're just all over the place. So I appreciate you guys. I've been really blessed to have some great players come through the program, and starting with Coach Bacon, he's probably our #1 fan for girls basketball. He pulls up a chair and he sits in the corner and watches every single game, and he's a groundsman. He cuts the fields, he helps paint the fields, he takes care of his softball field, and as we know, he's a football coach and spends a lot of time with our softball program. He's a great softball coach. So he's another guy that, he's just an amazing man and does so many things for me as an athletic director for our school. But going back to our girls, there's a lot of excitement right now, especially with Alyssa Brown, and we have another couple juniors that are pretty exciting, and Lucky Frankie and Lily Watson. And so Our junior class is strong. We have a great senior class of about, I think, 8 seniors this year, so we have a nice group of girls. And last year, yeah, we were kind of put on the map. It was the second year we went to the Final Four, but like you were saying, Andy, I think we got more notice last year just because Alyssa tore it up in that game. And that team that we played in Shadow Mountain was one of the best girls basketball teams I've seen in a long time. Very long and very athletic. But because of, I think, Alyssa Brown's notoriety, it's really helped, Sahuaro, I believe. In the last couple of weeks, I've had about 8 emails from different college coaches and probably about 10 phone calls wanting to know our open gym schedule so they could come down and watch our open gym. So we have University of Nevada, NAU, Grand Canyon, several other schools that are going to come down and watch, Alyssa mostly, obviously, but it just helps our program in general because I was telling our girls at open gym yesterday, even if you're not on the recruiting radar, to have these other coaches come down and see the whole program, maybe they can talk to other coaches at smaller schools or at JCs and say good things about us. So it's been a blessing to have Alyssa. I had her 2 older sisters play for me. Olivia, who led us in rebounding at 5'7", she was just a tenacious rebounder. And then her other sister, Sydney, who's now, they're both assistant coaches on my staff, which is also pretty amazing. And Sydney was a 1,000 rebounder in her career, and Alyssa Brown will hopefully get to the 2,000 point plateau and over 1,000 rebounds by the time she graduates. So it's a real blessing to have that family in my program, and they've done a lot of good things for us.
I know Steve needs to get to work. He has a freshman game to administer, so we both thank you for coming here and talking to us about high school sports, about Sahuaro, about your family, about the big game tomorrow night. It's going to be a packed stadium, right? You're expecting a huge crowd, so you have to concern yourself with that,
Right.
with crowd control and so forth.
Right.
So we appreciate the time that you gave us to come on the show, and I appreciate you being who you are, a friend, and always, accommodate us with any kind of help with games and so forth. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Come on out tomorrow night to the game if you get a chance. 7 o'clock kickoff. The ceremony will begin for the Botkin family at 6:45. We'd love to see you there.
All right. Thanks again from All Sports Tucson. Thanks again, Coach, to your family. Good luck.
Thank you.